Hi guys, this is Alan with Bothell STEM Coach, and today I'm coming with you with a video about some interesting stuff what happens when you divide by zero. Now, you probably learned directly from arithmetic that you cannot divide by zero. And I want to talk a little bit about, first of all, why that's true, and then second of all, how some people accidentally divide by zero when they're doing problems. So, let's look at what it would mean to take a number 5 divided by 0. Now, when we're doing division, we're really saying, like if I do 3 divided by 2, we're really saying what number times 2 equals 3. Well, let's do a simpler one. Let's do 4 equals 4. And that answer is 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. So that's what we think of when we do division. So, and an analogous, when I do 5 divided by 0, it's what number times 0 equals 5. No number does that. None. None exists. So that's why we write this sometimes as DNE, does not exist, or undefined sometimes is what we call this thing, etc. Now there's one scenario where dividing by 0 can give you a number, specifically 0 divided by 0. What does this mean? What happens here? Well, again, what number times 0 gives me 0? Every number does this, right? Every number times 0 gives me 0. So this is also undefined to some extent because there's not one unique answer I could say. I could say any number times 0 would give me 0. Okay? Now, so this illustrates an important reason as to why we cannot divide by 0. So when do people accidentally divide by 0? Okay? It always boils down to a very simple case like this. Suppose an equation x equals 0, and if I divide by both sides by x, they say, well, x over x equals 1, and 0 divided by anything is 0. So you get 1 equals 0. And then they say like, oh, that means 1 equals 0. No, it's not right. First of all, let's break down the line of reasoning. X over x only equals 1 when x is not equal to 0. This is not always true that anything divided by self equals 1. It's definitely equal to 1 when x is not 0. We just showed you that 0 over 0 is every number here. Hence, it couldn't be 1. Or, it's not that it couldn't be 1. It's just, you're not certain that it's 1. It's not really for sure equal to 1. So it's only equal to 1 in this scenario when x is not equal to 0. So whenever you do this, you have to say, this x over x, am I dividing by 0? I am. Hence, this is not a proper thing for me to do. Like, I am not allowed to perform this operation. And what's on the right side is 0 over x. 0 over x only equals 0, again, when x is not equal to 0. Okay? And both of these cases are violated for when I start with x equals 0. So there's like a few proofs that are elaborate and do tricky things and ultimately boil down to the fact that somebody divided by 0 at some point along the way, and that's what screwed everything up. Okay? Because these assumptions, when I'm dividing by something, I have to prove to myself that it's not 0. Otherwise, I will get some bizarre results. So when does this show up is, say I'm solving a really complicated, let's see, an equation where it's x squared plus x and equals 0. Okay. Now, someone say like, well, I divide both sides by x, and I'll get x plus 1 equals 0, since x equals -1. And I can check this because from my original equation, let's just write this out. -1 squared is 1 minus 1 or plus -1. That equals 0. So that checks out, right? So my answer is, oh, x must be -1. But we messed up something when we did this problem. We didn't confirm that x wasn't 0. How do we know that x isn't 0? Well, it turns out 0 actually also works for this equation, right? So we didn't confirm x equals 1 or x could be 0. So the proper way to solve this equation is to actually factor. And so when I have x times x plus 1, I get 0. Either x is 0. If x is not 0, then x could be -1. So it's one of these two. Okay, so this is not correct, or not strictly correct. It's missing a solution when you do it this way. So this is a kind of a simple example of where you might accidentally divide by 0, and the end result wasn't too weird. It's just you eliminated a possible solution from your equation. Okay, and that's not good. So I hope that made sense to you. I hope that clarified a little bit about what it means to divide by 0 and when you can do it. Never. And what does it mean to divide by 0? Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave a comment, like, or subscribe if you want to see more things. So thanks. I will talk to you next time.